Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this evening's council meeting. It's been so long since I've seen all of you. In the spirit of truth and reconciliation, we acknowledge the town of Edson is located on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional and ancestral lands of the Niqawak, Saulteaux, Siksika, Piikani, Kainai, Dene, Nakota Sioux, and the Ipitimisawac nations. We honor the knowledge of this land, the elders and youth which gather here, and our ancestors who have gathered here for centuries. Can I get a motion that the agenda for the April 16th, 2024 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented? Go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
I'll make the motion and adopt the agenda.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried. Can I get a motion that the minutes of the April 2nd, 2024 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented? Go ahead, Councillor Moore.
I so move.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. Can I get a motion, please, that the minutes of the April 8th, 2024 special meeting of council be adopted as presented? Go ahead, Councillor Bevan.
I'll make it so.
All right, thank you, Councillor Bevan. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that motion is carried. We have no public hearings, no delegations, no reading of bylaws. Can I get a motion that the council schedule a committee of the whole meeting on April 30th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Edson Civic Center? Go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
It'd be my pleasure to make this motion.
All right, thank you very much. And we will hand things off to CAO Christine Beveridge.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the whole of council, this RFD is fairly self-explanatory. Essentially, council requested that we have a committee of the whole meeting scheduled to discuss public hearing and the feedback that was provided. And we adjusted, we looked at our schedules, etc., and wanted to make sure that this did come forward in a fairly expedient manner. So April 30th has been the date that has been recommended. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
That is the fourth Tuesday of the month, right? It's the fifth Tuesday. There we go. All right. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. Can I get a motion that council approve the amended signing authority policy L-D-4 as presented? Go ahead, Councillor Taylor.
I so move.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor, and go ahead, CO Beveridge.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item before us, as per our current signing authority policy, it was really quite restrictive when it came to general managers, and adding the structure of including a chief financial officer to the organization. There are legislative requirements in which we must adhere to, and this is just one of those transactional items that the update to the policy allows for several different transactions being with tax certificates as well, tax information with land titles, of course, banking information, key things that a chief financial officer would be responsible for. Just wanting to note that was the intent behind this policy was just strictly to look at those titles. You'll note that this policy is due for renewal and review, and that will be done, but that was not done during the timing, ensuring that we were able to move forward with transacting some of these items and get the proper authority signing them. Thank you.
Thank you, CO Beveridge. Council, any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that motion is carried unanimously. And we have a motion that council accept the Rotary Club Wilmore contract update as information. Go ahead, Councillor Chachka.
I so move.
Thank you. And we will hand things over to Mr. Clayton Kitlitz, the General Manager of Infrastructure and Operations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. We're already at click share. Okay. So I just have a brief presentation just to outline the contents of the RFD, Mr. Mayor, and I'll go through that quickly now in response to the delegation that occurred by the Rotary Club on March 12th of this year. So one of the things we wanted to do administratively is just make sure we met with the Rotary and got clarification on the ask to make sure we weren't making assumptions on exactly what they were. So we did that. We Mr. Sullivan and I had a meeting with Mr. Sorensen the week following the delegation. The first question, request from the club was that the town provides a one-time grant to the club for lost revenues in 2023. During that meeting, we got clarification on what that amount was, and it was confirmed to be $20,000 required to make them whole for the 2023 losses. Town rebuilding 2 outhouses, bigger and better with running water. We wanted to get clarity on exactly what that meant and where they were. So first off, the town did make a claim with our insurance providers for those 2 facilities, and the claims are approved, and we do have contractors lined up to do that work. We haven't actioned them yet because we're not, well, I'll go into that a little bit further into the presentation. One of the things that became, well, known to myself at least, shortly after the delegation by the Rotary Club, we had a meeting to transition parks operations over to my division based on the reorg. And I found out that we didn't own the lands for Wilmore Park. I didn't know that. I was not aware that the town didn't own those lands, and it was under a lease with the province. So that was new information that we had to ingest and figure out what that meant. So we have that lease, and we reviewed that. And basically, there's some terms and conditions in that lease that, by our interpretation, reads that we might have to consult a little with the province before we continue to do any reclamation or work in that area. The other part of the ask was the running water to that area, and we confirmed that it's for the overflow. We don't have running water there right now, so that's something that we'd have to include in our capital budget for prioritization, because we don't have budget for that in 2024. So certainly something we can consider, or council can consider in future capital budgets. Also, we just want to make sure that the area is safe. I was out there today just to take a look, and there's still a lot of debris around that area. It's not cleaned up and ready for public access at this point in time. So in terms of the lease with the province, I've just included a handful of the clauses that I think administratively we're interpreting as that there needs to be some sort of oversight or consultation or approval by the province. Prior to commencement of any activity, the holder, that would be the town, shall arrange and hold a meeting with the department officer to discuss operations. Unless otherwise approved by a departmental officer, the holder shall use only existing clearing trails and not clear any new areas. Any activity on the land during adverse ground conditions must be suspended if the activity is likely to cause unacceptable damage to vegetation or soil, as may be determined by the holder or the department. Furthermore, the holder shall reclaim all disturbed land surfaces within 2 growing seasons. Interim reclamation, including sites and debris cleanup, slope stabilization, recontouring with subsoil, and spreading of topsoil shall be done progressively and concurrently with operations. And then finally, unless otherwise specified by the departmental officer, initial efforts to reestablishing a vegetation cover or disturbed surfaces must be accomplished by A, seeding using only native species. Mixture shall be approved by the department officer. The holder shall provide a certificate of seed analysis for each species. And then finally, planting native trees and shrub species. So the park's been destroyed. That area's been destroyed by fire, and it does need to be reclaimed to a state. And so at this point in time, administration wasn't prepared to make any solid recommendations to council in terms of the asks of the Rotary Club until we had the opportunity to consult with the province on getting that done. I'll speak to that a little bit further just after these next couple slides. The third ask from the Rotary Club was the town rebuilds the firewood shed and replaces the wood splitter. These were 2 items that were on the caretaker site, not in the overflow parking area. We have purchased the wood splitter already, and it can be delivered at any point in time. And we're working on sourcing out the best option for the wood shed right now, which shouldn't take long. And then the fourth request from the Rotary Club was the town increase funding for operating the park, with only 12 campsites being available to them. that being the Riverside campsites. That was A, and then port B is or the town supplies 4 sets of porta potties for the 2024 season, so we can open the Ridgeview campsites, which is the overflow section. After getting clarity on these 2 questions from the Rotary Club president, A would mean amending the current contract amount, which at present is $3,000 a month for operating the campground, to $7,000 per month. And then point B, well, both B and P are really dependent on what we hear from the province in terms of reopening the overflow camping area. In terms of, well, maybe I'll just stick here for a second. So I reached out to the province, public land, to try to find out who we had to talk to engage with respect to reclaiming or getting the camping area back up to par. I was given a field officer's name. I left a handful of messages. 3 different times I've called that person and yet to hear a response back. So today I called back again to try to get a different contact, and I got put through to the Edson Public Lands office right in town here, so that was good news. Although I didn't speak to the person I needed to talk to, I did talk to someone else at Alberta Wildfire that assured me that he would help us get in contact with someone in short order to try to get out there and figure out what's going on. So I'm hoping tomorrow or before the end of this week that we have some action from the province in terms of at least getting out to the site and getting some sort of idea whether we have some obligations or not. And then we can make a decision on how we proceed. I think there's an outside chance that the area could be open. Maybe not in time for May 1st, but close to. Now that's again just by my visual inspection. Obviously we need to get some other professionals in there to see what that means, but I don't think it's an absolute no, but I think there's still some questions ultimately need to be answered before we can proceed down that road. One thing I wanted to clarify with the Rotary Club is what their insurance covered, and they confirmed that their policy does not cover loss of revenue for the club. They did confirm that the policy did cover the replacement of their quad, but not. They had just purchased just over $2,000 worth of firewood, and they lost that in the fire, and that was not covered. I already talked about the field officer and my inability to get in contact with them. So essentially, that's what our presentation is today, Council. We just wanted to give an update of where we're at and why we haven't come prepared with recommendations at this point. Hoping to have that contact with the province very shortly here now and be able to come with more information for Council. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kitlitz, Councillor Chenard.
Through the chair to Mr. Kitlitz. So what we're hearing is the town is moving forward on the goal of getting it reopened, because I'd hate to see us have to pay them $7,000 a month rather than spend that money, maybe help them out with the outhouses or something, because I drove out to the campsite myself as well, and I'm looking at it and I'm saying if the rest of the park is open, the burned area would be no more hazard than walking some of the trails. So I'm pleased that we're moving forward, but I'd like to pursue it harder because a lot of people want to get the campsite and they're getting requests. We built this fantastic bike park and people want to come out and camp. So that's our draw, and I'd like to get the campsite open as soon as possible. So thank you for your report and keep up the hard work, and hopefully we can open it soon.
Councillor Chachka.
Thanks. Through the chair to administration and council. Thank you for your work on this to admin. It's definitely, there's been a lot on your plate with the fires, and this is one of those extra things that has been obviously a challenge, right? I do just want to mention that I have plans to put forward a motion regarding providing the Rotary Club with some financing after this motion is completed. So I'd be interested in a discussion about that after this motion.
All right, thank you. Councillor Taylor.
Through the mayor to administration and council, Councillor Chachka beat me to it. I've been relatively frustrated by this. This was something I had spoken about back in the summer and the fall, that the Rotary Club is a service group that's taken on this contract. This is not just a private company. This is someone who's going to make money doing this, but then reinsert those funds back into our community, as they've done in so many projects. And I said at the time that I would like to see them be made whole. And You know, I believe in terms of communications that I've seen and heard from Rotary that, you know, they spoke with administration back in the fall, and then, you know, they let the administration kind of do the thing, and now they're back in March, and here we are mid-April, and we're scrambling. We're scrambling for a May 1st. Yes, we just found, you know, like obviously news that we have an agreement with the province. And of course, that's just you know, another frustrating element. So I feel their frustrations because I feel like, you know, they're trying to do a good service. And if they walk away from this, good luck to us to find anybody else willing to do this. Like, this is, like, as far as I'm concerned, they are the best bang for our buck out there because, as I said, they're reinserting the money that they're making back into our communities. So spinning off of that, and I don't know whether we want to have that discussion now before the motion.
No.
No, we'll have the motion we made. Okay, fair enough. So yeah, and looking ahead to that motion, you know, I was thinking about the full 20,000 myself. And also, is it beneficial to us as a council, whether it be Mayor Zahara or via letter, to contact MLA Long to see if there's any sort of work that he can do to expedite this process as well. So I'd be willing to whether just make a motion on that or just have Mayor Zahara make contact because May 1st is one thing, but if we don't have a working campground out there or a legitimate working campground by May long weekend, there's going to be some serious phone calls. So, and I think we've had enough time to get this under, you know, fixed up. So those are my comments, and I guess we'll wait till after this motion to discuss further.
Council, any further questions or comments on this particular item? My comment on this is certainly understand the frustration. Rotary is a nonprofit group in our community, and unfortunately, the season was cut short last year, no fault of their own. But we have processes that we need to follow. There are other nonprofits in this community that lost stuff out there too, which they had to make insurance claims for, or had to cover those costs itself. So we have to be careful of what we are covering and what we are not, and we have to look at our agreements and ensure that we are following the processes in place. We are a leaseholder out there, and understanding what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of success Mr. Kitlitz will have with his conversations recently, but for sure, if we aren't getting an answer in a week or so, then we need to please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to make a phone call to see how we can get this rolling. And I understand the frustrations of the time and how long it's taken, but to Councillor Taylor's comments here, we have been inundated with all kinds of things we've had to deal with. And we've had some staff turnover, and we have also, besides the fire, we've been dealing with the flood, and we've been dealing with all sorts of major projects that we're trying to get going in this community. There's only so much capacity. So we certainly need to get going on this. I would hate to see us not have an operating campground out there for this summer because we have invested a lot of money out there. The Cycling Association's been doing a lot of work, Rotary cleaning up the trails, and we were fortunate that Alberta Wildfire had people that they had out there cleaning up that area. They didn't have to do that, but they did have people out there shortly after the fire, but there's still a lot of work to be done. So that's my comments on that, and I look forward to the supplementary motion. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Motion carried. And Councillor Chachka, you have a motion?
Yes, through the mayor. I would like to move that council direct administration to include a one-time grant of $20,000 to the Rotary Club Edson in the 2024 operating budget deliberations held on April 23rd, 2024.
All right. Would you like to speak to that?
Sure. So, Councillor Taylor mentioned some of the items I was going to say, but that's okay. That's good. So I realize that, administration did mention that, this is a contract organization and we treat we treat that as we would a normal contractor. And I agree that is an important component of it. But in addition to that, they are a nonprofit, and our nonprofits have done so many absolutely wonderful things in our community over the years. And, there's times when those nonprofits need some help, and I think this is one of those times. And I think the right thing to do is to give them a hand, because they do support our community in so many other ways. And these are people that are volunteering a lot of their time, and they're taking time away from their family, their friends, their jobs, other activities they can be doing. And I think they need more help. I was at the volunteer fair, and they had a booth there too. And so many nonprofits are looking for help. And I think something that can drag a nonprofit down is when times are tough and there's no light to bring them forward. So I think this is something that can kind of give them a boost to keep going and to continue on, and not be sunk by this, and then have administration manage the other components of it as we move forward throughout the year. So that's my perspective on this.
All right, thank you, Councillor Chachka. Councillor Chouinard.
Through the mayor to Councillor Chechka, I'm not against the 20,000, but I'm thinking, like, talking to the Rotary Club and what we're working on now, I would like to see, before I gave them the 20,000, do a whole plan, like the outhouse and cleaning up. They get back to us and say, if you give us this much money, we'll do this. Like the 20,000 will help supplement them, but I mean, talking to them where we're hearing it's got to be brought up to par, like, remove the piles and stuff. So that's where I'd be hesitant, because I'm saying maybe they need 30,000. I'd like to know why we're giving them the 20. Loss of income to clean up, because I believe they could clean this campsite up way better than what we could. They would go in there with the volunteer, and I believe we need to help them, but I'm just unsure why we're giving them $20,000 to do what.
Councillor Taylor.
Through the mayor, first things first, to the mayor, to Councillor Chouinard, I think it was clear in their presentation, the 20,000 was just to make them whole. The loss of revenue, the loss of, essentially they lost money. They're a service group that was contracted by us, and out of no fault of their own, they lost these funds. The 20,000 is just to make them square again. That's it. That's all it is. At this point, just the 20,000. That is a Rotary's request, and that's the motion that I will support with Councillor Chachka. And I reiterate kind of what I said earlier. They're a service group. And it's a different sort of scenario. I know lots of other service groups maybe were affected, to Mayor Zahara's point in the previous motion, but this service group was contracted by us to operate the campground. That's the difference maker in all of this, right? And if we show that we're not willing to work with a service when we contract them, then no service group will ever want to work with us. They'll look at us and say they will just turn our backs on us. So I'm supportive of the motion, and I guess we'll see how hopefully those discussions with the province go well and quickly, so that we can get things open. And if not, then we may have to look at how we manage just those 12 campsites, because Rotary cannot operate just the 12 campsites and make a profit. It's not feasible for them, and that's something we may have to look at, if the province begins to drag its heels on the overflow. So those are my comments.
Thank you. Councillor Chouinard.
Through the mayor, back to the other side of the table to both councillors. That's what I was looking for. Unfortunately, I was not at the committee whole meeting. I just want clarification, because I do appreciate why we're doing it. So thank you for your clarification.
Thank you. Councillor Positioning.
Yeah, through the mayor to the rest of council. According to their presentation, they lost 10,500 since taking over the park. They didn't lose 20,000. They're speculating on revenue that didn't receive. So I'm not against supporting the organization. I guess I'm more challenged is covering the losses is one thing. If they have out-of-pocket expenses, I don't want them to definitely have out-of-pocket expenses. But I guess the question moving forward is, and Councillor Taylor talked about it, what are they going to do this year? If we only have 12 sites and we're not sure we can get the site opened up, they're asking for an additional $4,000 a month to run the park. So that should maybe be addressed as well. And maybe to further my comments, maybe this is an administration question, where would we fund it from? I'd like to know, do we have a Wilmer Park Reserve or do something like that? So we also need to talk about funding if we're going to make a motion on money.
Go ahead, CO Beverage.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With regards to, I think the intention is to do everything we possibly can to open this campground for this year. This is the intent. This was when we brought forward this update. This wasn't the ideal update. This isn't something that we wanted. Transition, as noted, is something that we were affected by, and I'll take that directly. But the reality is that we are going to do everything we can to ensure that this park is opened for the season within our control. I guess my comment with regards to, and maybe some response to, if we're going to try to preemptively deal with potential of options for future, can we bring that back very quickly to council if we aren't seeing any progression with the province? I guess I'm concerned with if we were to move forward, if council were to move forward, make an adjustment to a lease, when we have the ability to turn this around and to be able to open the park where they're able to establish, we provide them the facilities that they need. I think that is something we want to try to do first before we adjust the budget or the lease. Your second question with regards to the funding, the reason why the funding is not in there because it's in with the operating budget deliberations. This is why.
All right, thank you. Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, through the mayor to council, I agree. CO Beverage's point to if we can have this campground open, then we don't have to adjust the lease. I think that's a fair thing to do at this time. We'll deal with the 20,000 right now, and here's hoping that Mr. Kittlitz is successful in the next few days in terms of getting the province on board. And again, if need be, then we put pressure on from council to say this is a necessity. That we want this open, and our community benefits from the overflow being open. Many people come from out of town to camp there and use that bike park and use the services within town. It is a great benefit to us. I think we need that open. So, but I'd be willing to wait. I don't know what our time frame is on that in terms of waiting. Whether it's the first week of May, we begin to say, okay, we may be able to, and this is thinking ahead, may be able to deal with a lease on a month-by-month basis. If we can't get that overflow campground open till June or something like that, we make do in May for a one-time 7,000 or something like that. There's options there. So for now, the 20,000 to make them whole and to recoup any losses, and hopefully we're successful with dealing with the province.
Thank you. Councillor Pisichny.
Yeah, through the mayor to Mr. Kittlitz. And you may have touched on it, but did I hear correctly that our insurance is covering the replacement of the outhouses? And then so like a contractor come in and do that, or will it just provide funds to them to rebuild it?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, councillors, yes. So we already actually have a contractor lined up, and approvals and permits are in place. It's just we're waiting to pull the trigger until we know that we can get back in and build the park. So it's ready to be actioned when we get a green light. And Mr. Mayor, if I could just a little bit of clarity, the respecting council's motion, that's really for the 2023 stuff, and I think that was a really good distinction by CO Beverage, is that this is pertaining to last year's, and anything for this year I think is prudent to wait until we have more answers. In terms of when, our hope is that by the first meeting in May, which I think is May 4th, if I'm not mistaken, we hope to have some answers by then to be able to share and give council some information on. So that would be our goal.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions on this? So on this motion for the $20,000 for the 2023 season, which is really important to note, I'm in support of that. I don't think it is, it would be, I think it'd be irresponsible on our part to just leave service organization on the hook for that, for something that was completely out of their control and something that they are not able to recoup through insurance. We would have faced that cost if we were still operating it ourselves. Actually, if we were still operating that campground ourselves, we'd be paying a lot more. And those are things that we always keep in mind. And one of the things that we always do in Edson is try to work with our nonprofit organizations, because, you know, things like seniors transportation is much easier for a nonprofit and cheaper for a nonprofit to provide those services to our community. Rotary does a lot of fantastic work. And so I'm very much in favor of including the 20,000 as a part of our 2024 budget deliberations, which is coming forward. So we have not approved the funding yet. That still has to be approved as a part of the budget. Understanding that, you know, we would like those funds to flow to them as soon as possible. And as for the rest of the stuff, you know, it really comes down to waiting for that okay from some field office somewhere to move forward. You know, I think from my point of view, depending on who you're dealing with, some people, one field officer may not care, just go do whatever you need to do, and the other one might be a little bit more stickler to the rules. So I would just ask maybe for administration to update me maybe by the end of the week. If you're not getting a response from somebody, then I'll start making some phone calls, and that usually gets the balls rolling. And then hopefully we can have an answer to Rotary sooner rather than later. Getting those washrooms rebuilt, I think, is the best option, and we may have to put some porta potties in there in the interim. I'm not sure, but to expect that campground to operate with 12 sites and for anybody to make any money, I don't think that is a reasonable ask. And so I think that as long as we have some flexibility there to discuss this further as we go along, I think that would be prudent. So if there is no further questions, comments, or concerns, I will call the question. All those in favor of the motion, hang on, let me read it. That Council direct administration to include a one-time grant of $20,000 to the Rotary Club of Edson in the 2024 operating budget deliberations held on April 23rd, 2024. All those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. No information items, no sundry items, council committee reports. We are going back to April the 3rd. And we'll go to Councillor Chenard.
Okay. We're on? Okay, April 3rd, I started the day. CBC News got a hold of me as a councillor and wanted to do a story on the effect of the TMX pipeline. Interesting 2.5 hours of my life. Hopefully no one watches CBC. Also, April 3rd, we did the opening of Ricky's. April 5th, what's that place? Kashinka, am I saying that right? Casino opening of restaurant. April 8th, public hearing with a special meeting. April 9th, committee of the whole. April 12th, Evergreens, they did their first time service awards at the Hinton Golf Club. Councillor Persicny joined there, but not as a council member. And then April 16th, which is today, I was invited to Pine Grove School to their grade 6 social class as a counselor to do a presentation, and I complimented them on their handwritten letters, so that was good. And at noon today, we had our special meeting, and that's it for my report.
Council committee reports. Half of those were not committees. I'd like to point that out. Councillor Chachka.
They were enjoyable.
Okay, through the chair, I will report on a couple non-council committee things. April 3rd, the Ricky's VIP night that all of council was invited to attend. And also April 5th, the Cucina Filipino restaurant grand opening. April 8th, the public hearing, land use bylaw here. April 9th, our committee of the whole meeting. And April 16th, today, the special meeting regarding the multiplex.
If you encourage it, Councillor Bevan, go ahead.
Just two. April 8th was their committee of the whole meeting, and April the 9th, whatever to call meeting. And I won't report on the other ones.
Also, you were at the casino.
Well, yeah,
Opening.
but that's,
Well, we opened up the floodgates, so let's go. Councillor Taylor.
Sorry, we missed the motion, we understand, sorry. We missed the,
no,
we did, we missed the,
we didn't.
oh, it is, you're right, sorry. Oh, it is committee after, sorry, we were wrong. Well, I'm going to drag you down to with me. All right. On April 3rd, I attended the opening of Ricky's. Yes, I know it's a non-committee report, but great people down there, fantastic new owners. April 5th, again, the opening of Cucina, other fantastic new owners on Main Street. Make sure check out those restaurants. April 8th, Youth Council, where we had a great discussion on our water issues. That's great hearing that. There you go. And look out for them at the trade show. They're selling 50/50 raffle tickets in support of the Edson Food Bank. And they'll also have a little display on homelessness there, so you can chat with them and learn more about the homelessness situation in our community. And they've been working really hard on that. On April 8th, a special meeting regarding the public hearing for the land use bylaw. April 9th was committee of the whole meeting, and today at noon was a special meeting where we approved funding for the multiplex. And that is my report.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor.
Go on, Ed, you got some. No, I don't know who's up.
Are you sure you don't want this job back? Councillor Moore.
I touched it again. There we go. I'm not touching it anymore. Anyway, well, I was at the casino grand opening too. Very enjoyable. Always good to see a new business open. April 8th, land use bylaw. April 9th, it was a committee meeting. This afternoon, of course, oh, wait a minute. Last Friday, I was at the FCSS spring meeting in Marlborough. That was an interesting meeting for sure. Lots of stuff happening and going to be happening. The YCE multiplex this afternoon. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Councillor Pisichny.
Remember what you need to report on.
So don't talk about going to Ricky's for their opening on the 3rd, or the Cucina restaurant on the 5th, or Al's retirement dinner on the 6th. Sorry. I had an executive committee meeting for the Edson Seniors Transportation Society on the 4th. Of course, our public hearing and special meeting on the 8th, Committee of the Whole on the 9th, Chamber of Commerce meeting on the 10th, and those are my relevant ones. Oh, and today we had our special meeting as well.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So on April 3rd, I attended the VIP opening of Ricky's. Absolutely fantastic to see it open up, and just a remarkable story as well. So that's fantastic. And then on the 5th, the casino opening as well. And, you know, driving around town on Friday night, it was great to see downtown just packed. Ricky's was packed. All the restaurants in town were packed. So that was fantastic to see. We had the land use public hearing on April the 8th. Really appreciated all the feedback we received through that. Committee of the Whole on the 9th. And, of course, the special meeting earlier today. And that is my report. And now we will move on. Councillor Taylor. Can I get a motion, please, that Council direct administration to request an extension for municipal affairs to June 30th, 2024 for the submission of the financial statement and financial information return? Go ahead, Councillor Taylor.
I so move.
Thank you, and we will hand things over to Mr. Michael Trabish, our Chief Financial Officer. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, your Chair and all of Council. So basically, this request from Council is due to a number of circumstances that happened not only in 2023, but in 2024 as well. So firstly, the administration would like to apologize that our financial statements are not in a position where we're ready to have them due in time for May 1st, which is the deadline according to the Municipal Government Act. So we are apologetic on that item, and we express our concern to Council and to the public that our financial statements are not getting completed on a timely fashion for that due date. I arrived here on April the 2nd, and one of my first concerns was to contact our new auditor, Mr. Telford from JDP Wasserman. And through a couple of conversations with him, things started to look like we were not going to be able to pull this off for May the 1st. So we looked at our options and reached out to Municipal Affairs. And they were kind enough to accept a request from us. So we did that. We wrote them a letter and explained our situation and all the factors that caused this delay. And the last piece, or the step that they've asked us to complete, is to get a council motion that we could then forward to Municipal Affairs to get the extension to June 30th. And then the administration will work vigorously to get our auditor back on site. We've actually already scheduled him for the first week of June. And we will endeavor to get the financial statements done under that new extension. So with that, I put the request forward on behalf of the administration. And again, sorry for the delay.
All right, thank you. Council, any questions, comments, concerns? Go ahead, Councillor Pisichny.
Yeah, through the mayor to Michael. First of all, no need to apologize. You're new, and we appreciate all the hard work you're putting towards it. So I'm definitely in support of this, and it's nice to have somebody who's bringing some knowledge to the table. So it's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pisichny. Any other comments or questions from council? Just like what Councillor Pisichny said, you've done a lot of work here since you've gotten here a few weeks ago, and it's not uncommon for councils to ask for extensions from time to time due to the circumstances such as what's outlined here. So we have been our report card with Municipal Affairs, if you go on the Municipal Affairs website, has been stellar over the years. We had to ask for extension once, and that was just due to an external organization not getting us their audited for the same types of reasons that we're seeing here today. So, yeah, I think this is, we just follow the process and get those audited financial statements when we can. Make sure that they're done properly. So, with that, I will call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried unanimously. Questions from media and public regarding items from this council meeting, including any of the grand openings we attended over the last. You're all good? Okay. Nobody online from the media? No? All right. Can I get a motion for adjournment, please? We'll take a motion from Councillor Pisichny.
I move adjournment.
All those in favor? And that motion's carried unanimously.